Scrapbooking today to show you this gorgeous tutorial on how to create this junk journal from an envelope that came in the mail. I'm so excited to get started and show you. The inspiration came from these bubblegum beads that I had with Beebeecraft, an order that they sent to me, and it was a collaboration that I wanted to create something to feature them. So let's get started.
So I literally pulled this envelope right out of the recycling bin. It had already been pre-folded like this and ripped on the side. And I will tell you that the first time I posted this video, I had sped it up quite a bit, trying to be respectful of people's time, but so many of you commented saying you'd like to see a slower version. So I have done this one re-edited in real time. I'll leave the fast one up on my channel in case you're interested in just seeing quickly how this was done. But for those of you who'd like a more in-depth look, here is how I created this album. So the masterboard that I did a tutorial for is where I got these images from here. I used my Daphne'S diary magazine and I took a bunch of scraps and some multimedia materials. I'll leave a link for this video as well if you're interested in seeing how I created these masterboards. But I was so impressed and surprised at how perfectly these pages fit this album, already pre-folded from the recycling bin. Exactly the right size of what I needed. That wasn't my intention when I first sat down, but those quickly became the obvious choice. I've left the window on the inside of this album, which is a fun sort of way to tuck something into a pocket there. So I create a lot of different things. I cut up the magazines after I'm done reading them, and I keep all of the little scraps, even the teeny tiny little ones like this, in a container. I have some bigger packages of scraps as well from larger pieces, and sometimes I'll go into those. But for this one, I just started with my smallest pieces, and it's just the simplest tools for this: a pair of scissors and a glue stick, and basically scraps from the recycling bin. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tony Lightwood, and I have been a paper crafter all of my life. I've been a just lover of all things paper, and I've gone through a journey of scrapbooking, card making, memory keeping, and junk journaling is somewhat new to me. And the reason why it is such a good fit for me is because when I first graduated from high school, I went into a career because I had such a strong sense of waste management. And so I took environmental engineering, and I actually spent a decade going around into schools teaching children about how to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we always focused on the idea of recycling being a last resort, that you should always try to minimize the things that you throw away or minimize the things that you consume to begin with. So this junk journaling and paper crafting is like the perfect combination for me to combine two aspects of life that are so much a passion for me. So you'll see here as I walk through my bin, I'm just taking little pieces of paper out and gluing them down onto the envelope. The less thinking, the better. Just randomly paste to fill up space. And if you're not liking the way that something is looking, you can go back over top and cover it up with something else. There's a variety of ways of doing this, and I do use straight edges to basically define borders, both for this window and also for the edge of the envelope. You don't need to do that. You can have, like here, I'm using a jagged piece that's facing into the window, and you can do that all the way around so that it's not such a definitive line. the same thing with the exterior border of the envelope. You can work way past the edge and then do a straight cut, which gives a really nice look as well. But I had enough straight pieces to be able to go in and create the border right with the scraps that I had. So I didn't need to go back and trim off any excess that was left behind. So I discovered Daphne's diary just recently, and I actually subscribed to 2 versions of the magazine because I loved it so much and I wanted to keep a copy to be able to look back and read or share with friends for them to read. I get 2 copies of this magazine now, and I take one, read through it, and then go through and take pages and rip up all kinds of different things from it. This that I'm ripping up here, I was really drawn to the colors of that one image, and it was a beautiful image and something that I could have cut out and used in my other collaging and junk journaling on a bigger place, like as a piece of ephemera. But because the colors were so pretty, I wanted to bring them into the envelope. And I really love the way that this left side of the envelope turned out because it's drawing in those really pretty colors. I'm particularly drawn to pastels, and you'll find a lot of pastels in my work. I really love the color pink, especially in a blush pink. So I'm just going through here and gluing down little bits of paper until the white part is all covered. This was a beautiful part of the magazine where she had a whole page where you could make rolled flowers, like a cone, so that you could put flowers in it or something. So the back of that beautiful paper has some lines and scissor cut marks on it. So it was nice to be able to use this in a project where I'm gluing that side down that you can't see, because I do like to use these pages as interior pages for my junk journals on their own. But this one particularly has just that one really nice side, and then the other side is something that would have to be covered up anyways. So we're getting close to being done, the collaging part of this. I will come in once this part is done and start using my multimedia to add a variety of different extra colors and textures. The one thing that I didn't end up showing that I did use was my Japanese paper. I took 2 tiny little pieces of this textured Japanese paper. It has a very handmade look, and I went on off camera and added those 2 pieces. But otherwise, this is looking like it's all done, and I'm just going to need to bring in a couple more words from my book. This book interior part was an altered book that I created a junk journal, and I ripped out all the inside pages, and I'm getting so much mileage out of those papers because I'm using it as a soft place to punch my holes through when I use my awl. I'm using it to tear pages out of to collage with, and it's definitely getting good use. So this is my little guillotine cutter from Creative Memories. I really like the precise cut that this gives, and it has a way to really slice through thicker things well also. So I've trimmed off the edge and exposed the other side of that envelope, so now you can access it from both sides. And I'm just going to come in with my glue gun here, and you would never know that this product is ever going to come out to be the beautiful album that it is. When you look at it here, it's got such a like terrible look to it. It doesn't look like it's going to be this beautiful album, but it ends up being a really nice project. The envelope is completely hidden in the end. You can barely see any remnant of it being an envelope, with the exception of where that window piece is. And you can kind of see the base of the envelope that way. But just glue gunning it on gives a really good, strong glue, and it's something that will be very secured. And you even have a little wiggle room with it, because you can move it around and make sure it's placed exactly where you want before it's dried. That's something else that I really like about using the glue gun. The only thing I don't like about using the glue gun is all the strings that it leaves. And I've tried every glue gun, and I've tried the different types of glue that are supposed to be stringless. I find they all leave strings. So I picked out 2 of the tags from my masterboard creation, and I'm just slipping them into the pockets here. I really loved the way that one card on the left looked out of that side, but I don't love the white peeking out on the front. So I will go on later to change those and switch them around. So I'm going to take them out so they don't get any multimedia on them. I'm coming in with my Tim Holtz ink and blending tool, and I'm just blending around the edges with that sort of vintage color that will just soften the edges a little bit. And I'm going to go even one step further after this, and I'm going to cover it with a gold wax that I found at Michael's. So this is wax paper that I'm going to cover that window so that nothing splatters onto it. It's protected from any of my shimmer as I spray it on. And I just tape it on just with regular tape so that it is protected. And then I'm going to come in with the gold shimmers. They were also from Michael's. I love these so much. I had a previous one from Heidi Swap that I've completely used up, and I'm on my second bottle, but they do go a long way. That really surprised me how much it sprayed. I wasn't expecting to get that much on. The last time I did this, I actually took it outside and I sprayed it over a cardboard box so I could get a gentler mist, which I think might be a good suggestion if you don't want such a strong gold. But every time is an experiment. This is a messy part of the project, but it's fun. I don't know what it is about getting my fingers messy with this gold paste. I find it quite relaxing and enjoyable to put these fun little touches on the exterior here. And you can be as thin or as thick with the edging that you like. I usually go thinner than this, but just the way that the paste came out this time, it was a thicker version. So this is where it all began. This is how I discovered Daphne's diary. One day I was at the bookstore. I live in Canada, so we have Indigo, which used to be Chapters. And I was there with my daughter. She was looking at the magazine section, and I was waiting for her when I spotted this agenda on the shelf of the magazines. And I picked it up, and I was taken aback by it. I was, wow, this is beautiful. I just was so drawn to the images and the design. I already had my agendas picked out for 2024, so I actually didn't purchase it right then and there. I decided, no, as much as I love this book, I don't need another agenda. But I did go online and I looked to see if I could find anything more about this company, and that's when I discovered she had a magazine. They didn't have the magazines at the bookstore. I went back to find the magazines, and that's when I actually decided to purchase this book anyway. And one of the reasons why I did was a pretty funny story. Because it was into the new year quite a bit, they had a 30% discount on them all. So I brought it up to the cash register, and went to purchase it, and then she said, oh, this doesn't count as one of the agendas that are on sale. And I said, oh, well, it was sitting right next to the sign that said 30% off. So she decided to honor the price anyway. And so I did get this for a discounted price. And then I did find a way to get the magazines as well. I've discovered since then I can buy them at Michael's. I can actually buy them at Indigo, but they are much more expensive that way, and they come in way later. The place that I order them from is Express Mag, and it's just over $100 for the whole year. Definitely worth it. That's why I've gone in and got a second subscription. So when I originally was making this little mini album, I hadn't planned to use these mini pages from this agenda, but when I pulled out the first one and saw how well they fit inside, I decided that this would be the entirety of what I use inside this junk journal. I love those torn edges at the top. I really like the way that that gives texture to the album. And so I was happy to have that consistent. I tried doing the pages a number of different ways. I tried altering them inside the book, putting some upside down, and I discovered that it was best actually just to have them all together upright with all of those messy edges at the top. So I haven't ever created a little album like this before, and I needed to find a way to bind it. So I went in with my crocodile from We Are Memory Keepers. I normally would use an awl to punch the holes, but because this album has a small top and bottom, I can actually reach far enough in with my We Are Memories Keeper punch. So that's what we're going to do. I've lined up everything. I've secured it in place with these beautiful gold clips. And then I'm just going to try to get the punch through all of those papers. And this punch is fantastic. Like, it can get through a lot, and it puts in a perfect hole. And then I can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. It actually has a guide there that you can use. There's a stopper that will make it so that you can put both the front and the top and the bottom at the exact same depth, because that stopper is a guide for where you did the previous punch. And then here we go. We've got this album all punched. I normally would do the 3 stitch. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'll get my embroidery floss and we'll just see how this goes. This is another thing that I got from Beebeecraft. I've done collaborations with them quite a bit. I really do love their products. There's a discount code listed down below. If you are interested in any of these products, you can get 10% off your order. This has a beautiful variety of colors. So I'm going to do 3 lengths of the mini album here. And the stitch is so simple. I'm just going to stitch it through the outside of the album and tie it off in the center. It's a little bit longer because I wanted to be able to attach the beads. And so you can see there. Oh, actually, I go from the inside to the outside. Make sure not to get the thread through itself. And then just tie it off in the center. So I wanted to have beads hanging off the bottom of the album. So because I've never done this kind before, I made sure I had lots of extra thread. And I tied it with 3 knots. I don't know if it needed 3, but I just thought better safe than sorry. It doesn't hurt to have the 3, and I just tie them up. The actual threading of the beads, I didn't get great footage of it because it did take some finicky work to get them just so. I hadn't ever done this kind of thing before with dangling beads off of an album, but I really liked the idea, and now that I've figured it out, I'll be able to do a better tutorial on that the next time. But these are the beads. There are so many beautiful colors that they have, and I just love these big chunky sizes. I've been looking for these for a really long time, and I have an unboxing on my channel if you're interested in seeing everything that came in this last order from them. There'll be links down below. But here's what I came up with, and it's simple in the end. You just thread the 3 beads on and put a knot in the very bottom so that it holds them in place. And I actually went to do the same thing with the other string, and I ran into some problems and had to pivot. And in the end, I'm actually really happy with what happened, was because I just ended up using that one big gold bead, and instead of dangling it off the bottom, I dangled it off the top, and I added one of the bulb pins from Beebeecraft, some charms, and other little pink bead.
And you can see the finished product. So here we've got a tag that can be pulled out, and you can write on the back of it. But you can also see it through there. That's your first page. The back page, this tag is tucked in here. The reason why I changed it was because this way, the front, you can see this sticking out, but this one is tucked in. That way you don't see the white of it behind. And then we've got just our simple pages from Daphne's diary. Throughout the book. Nice combination of writing pages, the perfect size.
One thing that I like to do is to add a nice texture to the edge of each page. So I'll come in with my sewing machine and sew on some fun little trims that match the patterns or colors of my album. And it adds a really nice texture to the edge. I just love the way that it looks. I'll go back and do a double stitch at the end to make sure that it is on there tight. And I don't take too much caution about whether or not each piece of material is just so. You'll see it gets bunched up here, and that's just fine. I like the way that that looks. You can even run back completely on it and do a whole back stitch right up to the top. I do that sometimes.
So I just came in with this scrap cabin and my Tim Holtz tiny attacher, and then I stapled this here through that little pocket because there's that opening there, so we have the opportunity. It's not showing on this side at all, and it's the same thing on the back, just 2 staples. And again, you can't see it on that side. If I had thought ahead, I would have glued it potentially down in before I actually had put that together. Now, that's like that. Here is the finished product. It is just gorgeous. It has this beautiful edging with these amazing different trims here, and we can open it up quite easily to reveal inside this gorgeous junk journal, a beautiful pocket for these tags that I made a tutorial for a masterboard, and then you can just flip through the pages and see how we have a lot of them lined with a variety of different edges and trims. You could even go back and put some little pieces of ephemera stapled in or sewn in to the borders here as well to just provide more tabs, but that will come as I'm working in this journal. If you want to know what junk journals can be used for, I have a whole video on my channel with exactly everything that you can do with a junk journal. And that is the finished product. So let me know, what do you think? Was that a lot of fun? Are you interested in creating your own junk journal now from an envelope? I absolutely adore the way that it turned out. And it was a great use for some of those master boards. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time.